Returning to our top story tonight, the Nasdaq and the S&P 500 have both closed at record levels. The markets are soaring despite the trade tensions, despite the war in the Middle East, despite Gaza, Ukraine, and yet economists are warning about growing debt levels and burdens, especially for developing countries and poorer countries. The chair, Joseph Stiglitz, says there is growing consensus that the current debt system that serves financial markets, not people. And he goes on to say this threatens to condemn entire nations to a lost decade or worse. Now is the time for responsible action. Professor Stiglitz, of course, is a Nobel Prize-winning economist, professor at Columbia. Joe joins me now, Professor Stiglitz. Now, good to see you as always, sir. Why
nice
is
to be
the
here. Wish I could be
urgency
here in person
of the debt crisis now? Yeah, well, next time. But what's the urgency? This debt has been around a long time. Interest rates are coming down. Why do you did you believe it's crucial and critical now?
Well, the debts have been accumulating. The interest rates are not coming down for developing countries. They remain very, very high, higher than their growth rate. The debt is not sustainable. Many countries are spending far more in servicing their debt than they're spending in education and health. And it means that they can't make the investments for their future growth. So it's in a downward
Right.
spiral. And if we knew what happened back in the 80s when Latin America, when they had that downward spiral, it was a lost decade. This may be even worse.
So we know there are only a limited range of options, everything from debt relief to debt write-off, that there really isn't much in between in that respect. So what are you favoring?
Well, I think there needs to be a whole combination of things. Debt write-offs. Many countries just were lent more money than they can repay. These were voluntary transactions, and the lender is as much responsible as the borrower. In fact, the lender typically has more experience in risk management than the borrower. So there needs to be debt write-off. Interest rates need to be lowered. And there needs to be more assistance in every form. So in terms of the debt market, there are many things that could be done right now here in New York. We have a
Right.
perverse system where the creditors get rewarded at 9% interest until there's a settlement. So they have an incentive not
So
to settle.
there is a relevant or a related issue, which of course is the US own debt burden, which is, I mean, some would say manageable at the moment, but as long as the US is itself a scoffler of debt, it's very difficult to see how much else can be done. When do you expect the US debt crisis to happen?
Good question. Let me link the two, though, even more forcefully than you did. There's a certain amount of capital in the global economy. And when the U.S. grabs for itself more of that borrowing by running unbelievable deficits going forward, that means the interest rates globally will go up. And that means the problems that we've identified in our report, in our Jubilee report, are going to get even worse. We can manage our way through it. It's going to slow our growth. It's going to have consequences. We will be able to manage our way through it, even though it will be bad, very bad for our economy. But these other countries aren't in that kind of a position. So we're actually, by our deficit, harming them.
Finally, you rightly remind me this entire report comes about because of the Jubilee within the Catholic Church. Do you believe the new Pope, Pope Leo, he comes from a different order, but he still seems to be extremely concerned that the developing world obviously is not forgotten. And I think that reports like yours really shine the spotlight, which is exactly what it was designed to do.
Exactly. Pope Francis asked us to form a group of experts around the world to look at the debt, and I would say debt and development crisis, to come up with concrete proposals of what can be done about it. What is the role of
Right.
governments? And the new Pope seems very committed. We had our meeting at the Vatican last Friday, and the reception was very, very positive.
Joseph Stiglitz, I'm grateful. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it.